What's up, Scott Goyette? What's going on, man?
Introduce and do the little music thing. Let's do the music. Let's smile. Let's show them how we smile. Let's show them the truth behind the scenes. Ready? Ready? Set.
You ready?
Hey.
What's going on, Mr. Goyette? How are you doing, brother?
I'm doing good. Had a beautiful day. Lots of productive work. Just a wonderful day. Yeah. How about you?
Just a wonderful day. Well, welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Unfiltered Experience. It is Friday, 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, your place for unfiltered experiences, unfiltered conversations to bring you the truth, to bring you the perspective shifts that you need to have in your life to take your life to the next kick-ass level. Myself, Christopher Rausch, along with Mr. Scott Goyette, tonight are going to have an unfiltered conversation that is designed to really move you to change and think about where it is that you draw the line in your life. So, man, I'm doing awesome. I'm gonna sit there and share with you guys. Here's I'm out camping, so if you guys can't tell,
yeah.
So I'm out here camping. So as in usual style, Scott and I did not want to necessarily do a replay. We just wanted to come to you live. So apologies if there's any intermittence in my connectivity, but there will be no interruptions in my connectivity of the conversation tonight. So we appreciate you guys, whether you're here live or on the replay. We got Glenda already in the house. We got Mary Kay in the house. She says, gentlemen. So thank you so much. We got Randy in the house. Says, good evening, my friends. So yes, we're out here
Randy.
camping. I'm going to be very, very transparent already. Coach DC says it's going to be a great show. I've been drinking since noon. So yeah, you want to talk about unfiltered? Yeah, let's get on with it. So no, man, it's great. I'm just sitting here by the fire. Here's a little fire. I was actually trying to set up my computer. Truth be told, I was trying to set up my computer to have it all like perfectly displayed, but my computer was not operating. The Wi-Fi in the campground was not operating. So I was like, you know what? We're just going to do it straight from our phone, straight from my heart to your heart, Scott. So yeah, it's a beautiful day. So I know that we wanted to talk about where do we draw the line in our life. Lead us off in the conversation, man.
So I'm going to back up for a tiny bit before we can jump into that. So today was an interesting day that will segue nicely into the things we're going to chat about today. So we've had a lot of losses over the last year, and we've all talked about that. We've all been in a struggle with COVID, with being stuck at home, work situations different, people passing away. And it's been, pretty much a nightmare for at least, if not just ourselves, for extended family. We know somebody who's been struggling. So today is the birthday of my father-in-law who passed away this year. And one of the things that we wanted to do, and Chris and I, we had a show about him honoring Max Friedman, but we had an intuitive, a medium come to connect us to him today. And, one of the things that was beautiful was just really trying to, feel who's supporting us from beyond, who's there, who's helping pull us to where we're going to be next. And not so much that they're gone, but much the opposite. They're the leader. They're the person who's the pioneer who took the step to go there and go to places that we haven't seen yet. And so maybe we're leaders in our own right now and doing what we're here doing on earth, but there's those of us who have already passed on. And so today was a very beautiful day for me. And I really enjoyed seeing my wife and my mother-in-law in good spirits and seeing them connect to something that means so much to them. So it was actually making me think even more of what we're talking about today. I also had 2 fantastic business calls with groups that I'm going to be working with, bringing the Go Love Now program to. And I was really trying to figure something out because we talk about empathy, compassion, how much we love everybody. And there's no doubt that you and I have huge hearts and love the shit out of people, period. There's no question.
Yep.
But there's also the behind the scenes Chris and Scott conversations of what do we really tolerate? Where do we draw the line? And I was really thinking of Max would always say, like, I can't stand that. That's ridiculous. Like, I was hearing his voice of things that he wouldn't accept. And I really wanted to do this show once again, I guess, in honor of him and anybody who's passed on, because we've got to make some shifts in this world. And there's a point to where we say, you differ in opinion, you differ in belief system, and then that is downright dangerous to humanity. And that's kind of a serious topic. And I know you've been drinking, and I'm going to have a drink right now too. But I think we've got to figure out where that line just might be. Kick-Ass Unstoppable. So where that line might be. And even if it just gets the conversation going, let's talk about that, because not just in the micro in our own personal lives, but what's happening in the masses of what we'll tolerate. Because I listen to two sides saying the other side is going to end the world and screw the world up. And I can really, I must be missing something, because one side seems batshit crazy to me. That's where I want to start. And we usually don't go this route, and you've been drinking, so let's go there.
So what's the question?
Here's your question, Chris. At what point does somebody say something and you say that's just a difference in opinion versus time the F out? That opinion is literally going to create some chaos or potential danger that could make this world a worse place for my child. And I'll no longer accept your difference in opinion as opinion, because it's downright dangerous and I believe to be incorrect.
Wow. That's a deep, heavy question.
Should we hold this off till next week? Are you ready for that?
No, I'm good. No, it's, when we think about where we draw the line, there's so many different facets to it. And I was thinking about it as I was riding my bike around here at the campground with Jackson. And I'm like, where I think about drawing the line in my own life is the fact that line is constantly changing as I change. Like when I think about what crossing the line or where I would draw the line when I was 30 is much different now at 52, where I would draw the line. And because it's for different reasons, it's for different impacts. Obviously being a parent, having a 5-year-old son, where do I draw the line at is obviously, a lot inhumanity to any kids, sex trafficking, everything else that is going on against kids. The fact that parents are being stupid and lazy and not paying attention to their kids during a time where their kids need them more than ever before. Where do I draw the line? I mean, for me, it goes to when there's like an intentional cruelty to hurt somebody from a basis of being hurt themselves. That's where for me, I think about we know that hurt people, of course. And when I see that there is such divisiveness, and again, I don't look as much at the politics. I don't look as much at anything in those terms as most people do. So I'm out here camping. I see there's a diverse culture of people. I see different flags waving, but I know that I believe in my heart that if something happened right now, there wouldn't be anybody that would be walking up and going, okay, who did you vote for? And what's your stance on vaccines? I think everybody in this place would come over here and say, hey, what can I do to help? And I think that's the greater thing that's going on in the world today, is that 80% of us are really, really good people. I was arguing with my wife earlier. She's not here right now, so she can't defend herself. But I said, she goes, about the divisiveness and about the 50-50. And I said, I truly with all my heart believe that 80%, if not more, of the world all are really, really good people. And the 20 other percent of us, the other 20% of the people that are being glorified in the news media and everything else, those are the ones that need our help the most. They don't need us to ostracize them. They need us to reach out to them and say, hey, listen, let me understand where it is that you've been through, because you and I have had these conversations. For me, the greatest healing that I've had is to understand where my mom was, what steps she went through, for me to have empathy and forgiveness for her. So for me, that's kind of where I stand. It's like trying to understand where people are at. But for me, it's like when it's intentional cruelty against other people, that's where I draw the line. What about you?
No, I like that. I like that a lot. Intentionality is huge in that. I guess the thing that's been, and this has been brewing in me for a long time because you catch the other side of it. I always have frustration when people are true leaders and have a natural gravitation and people will follow them. And so when they're standing in front of other people, I've watched a lot of leaders get very excited of the fact that their group is building. And so they constantly do the feeder shit. They're like something that creates an emotion. They're like, yeah, look at this, or what is it? Let's go, Brandon. Or they're just throwing things out there to just fuel the flames. And I have a real issue with that, because if you can tell me you're somebody who believes in love and not fear, and you're constantly saying things that are doing nothing but creating a divide, I have to really question your leadership. And I'll say that to
Yes.
every one of these people that have podcasts that we know, and I'm tired of it. I literally think they sound like children. I think they reverted back to a space where they're missing what humanity really is. And honestly, it makes me nauseous. It really does. And this is what I would challenge people to start thinking if you're one of those people, or if you follow those podcasts, or if you know who I'm talking about. If you look at a show like, what is it? Hannity's got that show now. Is it Hannity or what's the other guy? The other one, whichever one it is.
Never seen
the,
it.
the Fox guy who's got the Patriot Purge out. He's got a show called The Patriot Purge, which essentially says that January 6th was a false flag and that it was literally a honeypot set up to destroy Trump supporters. And what they're really trying to do is they're trying to set up people. So when things come out about the insurrection and more information comes out, they're literally trying to intentionally set up the situation to say, see, they're just lying to us. It's more people lying to us. And they're distorting truth. And it's very frustrating to watch leaders not look closely. Yeah, Mary Kay, she's saying having a platform is a huge responsibility. I mean, here's the thing. You don't hear Chris or I say a lot of what to think ever. And I'm watching a lot of other people say more and more of what to think. Follow me.
Yeah.
Look at this. Do this. And here's what I think with that. I think that's absolutely bullshit, because that's one dimension, one perspective point of all of humanity telling you to follow me. Guys, I have no clue what you think of this earth or what you see in this world. All I can tell you is what I see. So I'm telling you based on what I see, my frustrations, my irritations, what I would do in a certain leadership role, showing you what I do in a leadership role with a certain platform, where I'm not telling you what to think, but I am telling you what pisses me off. And what pisses me off is people using a platform to take people to a place of fear while accusing people of being fearful sheep. I'm missing something there. You can't sit and create a space of fear instead of creating a space of love while calling other people sheep, saying they're afraid. At some point, we just need to start speaking what Chris was just saying. Sitting at a campground, there's a bunch of people with different beliefs. We're all human. How do we interconnect? Who is it? What is it? What force is trying to divide us? And yelling, let's go, Brandon, or Patriot Purge, or everybody's lying to us, or the world is evil, or watch out for the dark forces. Guys, we are the force. Humanity is the force. I mean, rise up and be the change, be the love. It's hurting me. It's hurting me inside. And that's why I'm trying to figure out where to draw the line, because I'm trying not to let the anger come out in me. And I'm trying to keep the love there and remove any fear, anger, sadness. And I'm trying to just be filled with love. And there's moments where I see stuff on social media, I hear people talk, and I just get very frustrated with it. So what would you tell me as a friend, Chris? How do I manage that? Because how do I maintain, or how does somebody like me or somebody like you maintain leading, speaking the right things, and not getting attached to the negativity of others? And where is that line where we say enough is enough?
Wow, Mr. Scott Goyette, you just asked me the question that I think the entire world would want to know the answer to. So thank you very much for dropping that on me. I appreciate that. That's a good one. I'm like, yeah, a little intoxicated. Let me drop that one. I actually have some thoughts on it. Mary Kay says here, I'm going to try to read this. Look for the kindness. Press them for their kindness and their batshit crazy view. This is my challenge to people I don't agree with. Thoughts.
Agreed.
You know what? It's absolutely true, Mary Kay. Thank you so much for that. We got Brian in the house. He says, what's up? Hey, fellas. Thank you, Brian, for being here. Appreciate you guys. And again, you guys are a part of this conversation. So please, please, please ask your questions, engage with us. You know, this is a very serious conversation that we're having. And I appreciate you, Scott, for bringing this up, because it is something you and I have been talking about in the back channels and trying to determine, you know, like I told you, I had somebody, you know, probably a month or two ago sitting there saying, you know, calling me out privately on a Facebook chat, saying, you know, Chris, you talk about what's, and I think they're kind of a stalker in a way, But they're cool people, but I think they don't like me, but they're trying to like me. And they're like, you talk about being, you talk about fighting for what's right, what's fair, and risking for which that mattered. Yet I look at your commentary, I look at your videos, I look at your shows, and while you are very, confident in your opinion, you're very direct in your approach. I never see you really particularly take a stance on anything. And what is it that you're teaching your son? And you and I, Scott, have had this conversation.
The fence.
And
Yeah, get off the fence.
It was very eye-opening to me. Like I shared with you, I'm like, fuck, am I being a hypocrite? Am I being one of those guys that's like trying to make everybody, because I was a people pleaser. I am a people pleaser. I still am to a certain extent. Not as much as I used to be. Hey, trying to have a show over here. People in their campground shit. I'm serious. So when I thought about that, I actually felt, and you and I have had this conversation, because I've been like, I know I can be very, very direct and very opinionated on a lot of this stuff. You and I had these conversations. And I told the guy, I replied back. Sorry about that. I replied back and I said, you know what? Here's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to be the bridge in between the supposed two sides of the world that 50% of us don't agree, 50% of us want us gone, whatever it is. I said, I want to be the guide. I want to be the bridge that helps when whatever side it is, whether it's the people on quote unquote my side who think that vaccinations are okay, the fact that I don't have polio, I'm pretty cool with that, shit like that. The fact that, people are sitting there saying, well, it's unscientific and all this other shit. Half of the stuff that happens in the hospital is not FDA approved. So ladies and gentlemen, when you're in there and they're trying to save your life, they're doing it with FDA non-approved situations to save your life. That's kind of just my thought on that. But again, I go back to, whatever it is that you've been indoctrinated in your life, and you and I've talked about this, the conditioning process is so massively important. If I grew up, and I don't want to be stereotypical, but if I grew up in the South, let's just say I grew up in the South, where all of my friends and all of my family were gun owners, and they went out and hunted, and they all believed in the Republican way, and they all believed in, if you're not with us, you're against us. And if I grew up in that situation, might I be like those people now, especially if it's generations and generations? Of course I would. So can I have anger and animosity for the fact that they think differently than I do, even though it is detrimental to society? I have to have empathy and compassion for the fact that they have been brainwashed into thinking a certain way and having afforded the opportunity to be open-minded and to have the opportunity to see things from different perspectives. You and I both have grown up in situations where, me personally, I hated everybody. I thought everybody was stupid and I thought everybody was out to get me. But through my own journey and my own desire to look at and seek to understand from other people before to be understood, which was contradictory to my mom's upbringing, if I had grown up and chosen to be like her and say, you know what, mom's always right, I would be an asshole. I would be a fucking asshole. I would not have love and empathy for people, but it was because I decided to change what it was that was going on in me to have that love and empathy for other people. But at the same time, of course, if people are out there directly hurting and inciting anger in other people, you saw my post. I'm like, if you're out there to do that, fuck the fuck off. And I saw that I had lost like 25 friends. And I'm like, okay with that. I'm like, good, you weren't my friends. That's okay. Be on your own journey. Go do the things you need to do, because ultimately, and again, something you and I have talked about, and I was just reminded the other day, I was listening to Brene Brown's book, Braving the Wilderness again, and the fact that we all have to go through our own situations. We have to go through our own learning opportunities to realize what it is that we're deficient in, or what it is that we're strong in. So perhaps the people that are going through this right now need to have that massive awakening wherever it is that's going to happen, for them to learn and grow in their own journey. And maybe on the contrary, maybe it's going to be our side. Maybe JFK is still alive. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe aliens walk among us. I don't know. I sit there and try to keep an open mind, but I know for one thing, and I was talking to somebody the other day, they were so distraught about all of this stuff. I'm like, you're literally killing yourself. I told her this on Zoom. You're literally killing yourself by being so fearful and so worried about what the small percentage of whatever the news media, whatever social media wants to see. Everywhere I go, I see beautiful people. We may not agree, but I see beautiful people. And I think that's what the world is made of, is beautiful people. I think the microcosm is what's going on social media and the news. What about you, brother?
Oh, I love it. So, I'm a big fan of not being somebody who sits on the fence, but you've actually brought me to a space of understanding the value of sitting on the fence at times, because then you can be the manager of the bridge. And so to be that person who
you've taught me that. You've taught me that through Love and Fear. So
here's the irony there. I teach you that through very, a theoretical, beautifully written, articulate, nice shit. And you do it in practice. Cause when I start, like, I understand it, I speak it. And there's moments where the older me, so think of this, okay? We've talked about emotions. Emotions are energy and motion. They're moving. And so when we grow up and we're told I've got to be strong and I can't show this. So if I have sadness and anger and fear in me, I've had this beautiful mask that has been flawlessly developed so you can see exactly what I want you to see. So you see me and go, oh, there's a smart young man who's articulate, who's made some money. He's a great guy. Meanwhile, I want to rip everyone's throats out because there's these things I have not polished up. So when I'm sitting here listening to people go, just say things that make no sense to me with what I see as zero thought, I'm going, yeah. And I'm 2 seconds away from just losing my shit at all times. And the beautiful thing about this is I have to go back in and I have to go, what I was telling everybody to do is do the work. In my coaching, I'm always talking about doing the work, do the work. And I do it. And I'm glad that you found Joseph Campbell through Finding Joe, because I had been reading and studying that shit years ago. And huge. That's the whole point. So you brought up a wonderful point of everybody is going through their specific journey, their hero's journey. And so if in somebody's journey, they believe that the story is that they're supposed to be, in some QAnon journey, and that's the reality. As batshit crazy as that is, and as insane as that is, what about the day somebody said, let's take flight? That was crazy. So in the defense, it's hard to defend, but somebody got to that point. What I would recommend and what I'm trying to practice that I preach is this. If you're blessed enough to be more capable in thought, if you're blessed enough to be more emotionally balanced, if you're blessed enough to be supposedly more intelligent, that you can lead, then rather than criticize and denounce and crush, then lead. And Chris and I talk about this all the time. The victim in the whole story keeps saying, oh, poor me, these people suck. The sophomore, the step up, is the person who steps up and says, wow, a bunch of idiots. You guys are idiots. You guys are stupid. The savior is the person who comes in with all the solutions. Do this, do this, do this, do this. But no one wants to listen to that person telling you all the things you need to do. And there's a lot of saviors out there butting heads right now. The true difference maker is the player, the person who practices what they preach. So while Chris might not be taking a stance on something, he's clarifying that he's managing the bridge. He's trying to be there so that both sides can communicate. So he's a broker of effective communication. That's a role, and that's a beautiful role. That's not the role for everybody. There's warriors out there. There's people who take different stances, but that's a role. Mm-hmm. And being consistent with that and in integrity with that is beautiful. For me, what I'm trying to figure out at this point is there's a part of me that feels like it's pure warrior, but I shut that part off of me because I always saw it as fighting and attacking. Now I'm trying to figure out where is that line where I step up at certain points and choose my battles and say, that's absolute bullshit. You're completely, and I'll tell you one of the lines right now is that Patriot Purge movie. I'm thoroughly disgusted that somebody is saying, we're the party of love and this is the party of hate. And we're
what is that? I have no idea what that is.
I haven't seen it yet, but I will watch it because I like to know what both sides are seeing. What is it? Is it Hannity? What's the guy that
I've never heard of it?
The Fox guy that everybody follows. I mean, dude, we know all the podcast hosts who are our friends. They follow him. So he's puts this thing out called Patriot Purge that essentially denounces the insurrection. Is not an insurrection, but a honeypot attempt of people were lured there by the CIA, the FBI, Trump supporters, so that in essence, what would happen is they'd do something wrong so they could say, see, I told you so about Trump.
Oh, like a setup. Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, thoroughly, amongst other things. And what they're doing is they're putting it out there so that once all the information comes out to prove all these things have happened, which they're slowly taking their time doing, now what's going to happen is going to go, oh, we knew it was a setup, so they can denounce it all. It's literally, I'm watching this and I'm thinking of, 1930s and 1940s Germany and how it's literally a head game of how you become a fascist state. And I'm sitting here going, How is this happening? And all I want people to start doing is ask a simple question. Who is really leading with love and who is trying to manipulate you through fear? And I know somebody's going to come and go, through fear. Well, what about Biden? Because he's taking us and making us be afraid by getting the vaccine. I'm not talking about that one individual. I'm talking about massive groups. If you've got a group of people who are saying, there's this group that's so crazy, and the only thing that will validate us is to screw the libs or hate the libs or F the libs. If your whole goal in life is to F somebody else, I mean, I'm asking you an honest question. You know what my goal in life is? To understand others, to reignite our oneness, to remove the emotions that don't feel good anymore. And you know how I want that to happen? I want that for all of us to share our brilliance, period, and just connect. And there's going to be a moment. I know who I am. If trying to say it as nicely as possible, if people want to get to the space where fighting is what happens, all right. If people want to get to a space, I never want to get there ever in our lifetime. I want to be in a space where we can just look into other's eyes and say, fellow human, you are beautiful, you are brilliant. Share with me your brilliance. That's it. Why we are so far removed from that is literally killing me. And when I look at influencers, podcast hosts sharing these speeches from these people who are just spewing propaganda or saying, go check out Patriot Purge, and saying that after some of these people just had COVID, I'm just blown away. I'm literally blown away. I sit here and I'm not even sure how to take it. One of the things I've been doing all week is going, is this the real world? Are these people literally leading? Are they leading certain people? Are people following them? And it literally blows my mind that of all the people you could follow, that's who you're following, because they just use a good lead word. I'm not even sure what my next question or comment is, Chris, because I'm trying to just be cool, calm, and collected. I'm going to have a sip of beer.
Well, stop being cool, calm, and collected. This is the Unfiltered experience. You know what? For me, what you're saying and what I think about is the fact that, I think I said it before. I can't remember what was this. Earlier, but we go back to the root. Let's go back to the root of what's going on. You and I've had this conversation. The root of what's going on in today's society and today's world is not about what the surface level conversation is. It's not about COVID. It's not about vaccines.
True.
It's not about political stuff. It's about what's in here. It's about the unhealed hurt that has happened, the childhood trauma that we've carried around with us from 0 to 5, that we've carried around for the rest of our lives, that we have magnified the truth, which is not even the truth anymore, to be such a story of victimhood that there are two different types of people out in the world today. There are the people that are going to blame, and there are the people that are going to take responsibility. There are the people that are going to say love, like we talk about, go love now. And there's going to be people that are going to go out there and they're going to say hate. They're going to think that their role and their responsibility in this world is, and I just heard this. My wife just told me this the other day. She goes, did you hear that there was some sort of meeting or some sort of symposium or whatever it was, and that somebody got up in the audience and said, when can we start just killing Democrats? And she told me that she saw this on a thing, that somebody took a video of this, that somebody was at one of these Patriot things and said, when can we just start killing Dems or something like that? And I was like, you're kidding me, right? I thought she was, of course, she goes, no, they're actually getting up and saying that. And my first immediate thought was like, wow, how disturbed does that person have to be to really think that it's that much us versus them? And where is that person coming from? It's not about politics. That person is like jumping on a bandwagon to say, we're going to go out there, we're going to right all these wrongs of our group and all the people in our group that have been wronged and victimized, and we're going to set the story right. So for me, in understanding and going back to that seek first to understand, if I had been in their situation, if I tuned into all the different stations that they are tuning into and listening to all the propaganda and listening to all the truths, like I was. Let's talk about Candace Owens. When I first heard of Candace Owens, I was like, oh my God, she's so articulate, and she's got a great art. Blah, blah, blah. I drank the punch. I was like, oh,
the ultimate gaslighter. She's fantastic.
Yeah. And so for me, it wasn't until I had a black friend that goes, no, dude, go read these things. So I was educated. But the problem is that nobody, well, I shouldn't say nobody, that's a generalization. Most people don't want to be educated. Most people want to have their convictions and their opinions, and that we're going to do this because the ultimate outcome is going to benefit me, because I'm not going to take responsibility for my life. I'm going to get a benefit from us versus them. And for me, that troubles my heart. You know that, dude. You know that we talk about this all the time, that the fact that my son's 5 years old, and I think about that when his son or his daughter is in school, I want the history books to say that we all got our collective shit together and it wasn't about us versus them, and that people started realizing that we are more the same than we are different. Whether we're Buddhist, whether we're Hindu, whatever different religion we have, God has multiple addresses. I was just talking with somebody the other day, and we were talking about the difference of religion, and I said, correct me if I'm wrong. I said, but don't all religions basically say the same fucking thing? I said, the problem is that some people prescribe to only certain portions of that, then they bestow upon the rest of it, like, oh, if you're not this, then you're that, because it's coming from a place of hurt, it's coming from a place of victimhood. So my belief and my truth and my wish for every single fucking person, I know it's not our audience specifically that's watching this, but my message and my truth that for all of us to go out there and communicate to other people is like, shut the fuck up about everybody else. Work on yourself. Is your own family, is your own marriage, is your own relationship with your kids, is your own relationship with your parents in good standing? Are you an effective contributor to the community, to the community in which you live in? Not trying to change the world with your keyboard warrior bullshit, but is your house in order? Because we know that you don't throw stones through a glass house from a glass house. So for me, that's my ideal wish, is that people would sit there and start with from within. But honestly, Scott, to your point, and I ignore this, we talked about this, maybe we need to come to a point where so many people are so fucked up that maybe that 2% that are, according to me, the 80-20 rule, maybe those people need to go out there and do some really stupid shit to think that they're right and they're going to learn their lesson and that they're going to get corrected. And we're going to have to go through a bunch of shit to heal. But ultimately, 20, 30 years from now, we can look back and say, hey, we healed through that trauma, because when we look through the history books, of course, we have grown through all the different tragedies that have happened in our world, and we've become smarter for it. So that's my particular hope. In some days, like you and I have talked about, some days I just want to publicly come out and go, fuck. I mean, I just did a post. I know I lost 20 people when I sat there and said, if you're spreading hate, fuck the fuck off. And I watched my numbers went down because I purposely took a screenshot of it. And I'm like, that's okay. Those are the people that I know weren't meant to be my friends. So in the end of the day, and we've talked about this, is that I just hold out for the moments. Like, I know this moment right now is guaranteed. I got this moment right now, but tomorrow may be a different situation. So as much as I can hold on to the moments, as much as I can make a different impact in the world, and as much as that people sit there and see me and they go, you know what, I've learned from you, Chris. I've learned that, I don't need to be so judgmental. I need to seek first to understand, because had I been through their experiences, might I be like them? Yeah. And for me, that's where I start to heal. But definitely, I understand you. Some days I want to throat punch a motherfucker for saying something online. I'm like, you stupid. But then I'm like, all right. And I always say this too. I can't guarantee what I might be tomorrow. I might come out and just go like, if you believe this, you're all fucking assholes. Yeah. All right. I've chatted for enough.
So I'm going to go back to the boring stuff that I started with when we first started doing Friday Night Lives, because I think it's time for that stuff to come back. So I used to always talk about, what? It's not boring, actually. It's just blah, 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 blah. It's important stuff. So I always share about extending the sense of self. I think one of the things that's happening, I see it, I witness it. Oh, look at that little doggy boy. So I think that the moment that the willingness comes to extend the sense of self, the world isn't Scott. The world isn't Scott and Chris. It's not Scott and Chris and everybody who's listening today. It's not Scott and Chris and everybody who's listening today and our families. It's all of humanity. It's beyond that. It's all that exists that's seen and unseen. So that's everything. We include everything. Once you start thinking from a perspective that you're a part of all that's seen and unseen, just sit there for a minute. Meditate on that. If you're all part of all that's seen and unseen, can you accept a politician who says, grab them by the blank? Can you accept a politician who says, making fun of somebody who's got a disability? Can you accept any of these things from anybody that is out of line with a sense of self, that's all of us? And I don't get how we've gotten here. But what I can tell you is this. When I see somebody who doesn't make any sense to me, the first thing I want to do is make sense of them. So even when I just said to Chris, we're the Patriot Purge, the first thing I said was, I'm going to go watch that. Why? I already heard it's ridiculous. It makes no sense, but here's what I want to do. I want to watch it so I can understand what is being fed to another group, and I can understand how to educate beyond it. And that's been my stance my whole life. And so what I would ask everybody to do is start to extend the sense of self. Think that you're a deep connected piece of all that is seen and unseen. So those things that you see that you don't like, that's something that you could become. So how do we, I don't want to say remove it, because we're not trying to remove it. How do we educate in effort to better it? How do we enlighten it? How do we shine light upon it? Because while one group is saying, let's remove, I've never once said, let's kill all people I don't agree with. I can't even get there. Like, do I want to maybe punch someone in the face? Sure. But that's just the boy in me. That's what we are. We're men. We're little animals. We run around and punch us, and then we'll be like, my bad, I didn't mean to punch you. That's what we do. But I don't ever want to see any harm, like real harm, come to anybody.
Right.
What I want to see is transition. I want to see growth. I want to see the beauty come out. That I just don't want to see the hurt. My hurt is not going to disappear or dissipate because your hurt somehow grows, ever. And so when I hear the let's go Brandon, or F this group, or those guys are idiots, or if you believe in this, you're a moron, I'm just like, at what point is that ever going to better our country? 50-something% of the people aren't leaving this country, and you saying we're going to buy more guns, we're going to do this. At what point does that create any resolve? It doesn't. And so I guess what I want to encourage anybody who hears this to do is extend the sense of self, do everything you can to be empathetic to all. If somebody's doing something that seems really outlandish, I'll tell you a quick story of something I saw today, a video, and this is what it makes me think of. There was a guy who the police busted in his door because they got a wellness call, and they busted in his door, and he had a black eye, and there was a dead girl on his couch. And they interrogated him.
He had a black guy and a dead girl on his couch.
It's a true story.
Okay.
So it's a true story. So they busted in. So they're interrogating him for like 10 hours. And he's just saying things that make no sense. He's like, I don't know if she was dead. Is she dead? And so long story short, he kept saying, someone shot me with an arrow in the face. And they're like, whatever. Finally, they look closely. There's bullet holes. Someone broke in. They thought he killed his girlfriend, and she tried to punch him in the face and defend himself. He was shot in the face. Someone broke into his place, shot him in the face, and killed his girlfriend. But he was literally numb. He couldn't think straight. So he was just saying stupid things. Here's what I want to say right now. Whatever dark force has shot a good chunk of America and the world in the face, by us constantly interrogating and saying, we want to put you in jail or we want to destroy you, which they were trying to do this kid, why don't we go put some love on them? Why don't we go help in the healing process? You've been shot. Things aren't making sense. Something's been infused in you that doesn't make sense. I'm going to give it my heart and soul to start speaking a little bit more love, compassion. And here's the thing. One thing I am seeing, I know you're seeing the same thing. You brought up a good point, the 0 to 5. A lot of these things stem from 0 to 5, correct? Also, in addition to that, a lot of people were just fed up with government. I fully agree with that. So the other group saying that government's disgusting and there's an elite group running everything and they're taking our money, this has been going on since the beginning of time. I'm on board with you. Now, this is where we went awry. The group who's running the government goes, shit, they're onto us. Let's split them and make them both think they're fighting for truth. That's what's happening right now.
Oh yeah, it's all. You're to that point, dude. That is what we are being manipulated.
100%.
We are being manipulated by all the news media.
Yep.
We are to a point now. We do not know who and what to trust. And actually, Barb and I were talking about this. Have you seen this? I have not. I did not know what it's called. What the fuck is it called now? I just forgot the name. Where you can duplicate somebody. Like they could go on and be Tom Cruise. Have you seen this shit?
Stuff.
Have you seen that?
So I was actually there in Dallas.
Have you seen? They actually. She saw
an actual person or just
no? Yeah, actually, they actually
the 3D image.
Yeah, you could. I can't remember.
Dude,
She's
that
not right.
technology,
And
I met the guy who created that technology in Dallas. So I'll just tell you a story about that. The guy created that technology because U2 couldn't make a concert. The first time it was used, U2 was supposed to come over to make a concert, an appearance in New York City, and they couldn't be there. And they demoed it. They put the 3D hologram images on the stage, and everyone thought it was them. It was so fucking realistic.
No, this is not even a hologram.
Not like
This is
that.
I can't remember the fucking name. She's
I
not
don't
here right
want to
now.
be duped.
But anyways, no, I can sit there and go as long as I sound like Tom Cruise. It's like a video. It looks like me as being Tom Cruise saying these things. So like
Oh,
at
no, I know
this
what you're talking
point now,
about. Yeah, they've been doing that with
yep,
Bill Gates, and they were doing that with
they
Gates forever. It just,
they did with
oh, I
Biden.
know,
But
I know.
but my point is the fact that the people who are
Lonnie sounds like he
watching
knows what it is.
whatever we're watching, whatever you and I are watching, whatever everybody else is watching, they're believing that as their truth. They are seeing that fundamentally from their core as the truth. Like Barb just showed me this. I thought she was joking. That people showed up because they still thought that JFK Jr. was still alive and all this other stuff, and that John F. Kennedy was still running. And I was like, "You're kidding me, right?" And she showed me the thing that people showed up, and I'm like,
a lot of people.
That's their truth. That is those people's truth. We are not going to win those people over. We are not going to win those people over. What we can do now, and this is going to be one of my big targets in 2022, is the fact that it's about the youth. It's about the kids now. All of us who still have our wherewithals need to be mentoring, need to be active in our youth's life. Whether we're parents at PTA conferences, we need to be there for our kids because our kids are being poured into the same shit that those people were poured into. So unless we disrupt that pattern of knowledge and that pattern of education, that knowledge of truth, we will continue to have this cycle through. As far as government and everything else goes, absolutely, there should be term limits in there. That is fundamentally, it's bullshit. And I saw the other day what the recipe is for bringing Trump back, and they're trying to win all these different little things. That is like psychologically to me so fucked up and so unbelievable. It's like, okay, but then again, do I ask myself, I saw that there's open seats in my city council. There's open seats in my own city. Am I doing anything? No. If I'm not doing anything, then why should I be allowed to bitch about not being a part of the solution? Of course, I'm doing stuff like this and raising awareness. But fundamentally, if we're that mad, we all need to get active into our political system and be able to overturn a lot of the shit that's happening that is going to create a society potentially we're not going to be, proud of.
We need to pick a vehicle or some vehicles. Like, here's the thing too. We don't want to create burnout in ourselves either, because like you brought up a very good point too. Enjoying the moments and taking care of what's in your own backyard is crucial. So you got to take care of yourself, allocate a certain amount of additional time that you can plug in to support the causes you believe in, and go do a podcast, go be down at City Hall, go be on the school board, like figure that out. But you've got to do something. If every person just did something, it's massive. You want to check in with some of the comments?
Yeah, I was just you said
I can read them.
Lonnie is
Lonnie was talking about when you were sharing about that
people desire relief, comfort, hope, pride. But yeah, absolutely. But you had said that, and thank you for all of you guys being here tonight. Sounds like the three topics: conditioning, domestication, and printing. Actually, I've got. All right, ladies and gentlemen, here we are live on the.
That's why I put mine on, just in case.
Oh, yep. Conditioning, domestication, imprinting, subjugation, and eventual substrate. Ooh, deep. Now split the alligators and the crocodiles. Same medium for life. Split, absolutely. Inspirational insights, emotional laws, and constant fear mongering. It really is. It really is ultimately about the fact of and you and I talk about this, is what we focus on is what's going to materialize. So if I wake up every single day and I think that the world is out to get me, and I think that there's half the people out there, the world, who identify as a Democrat or a Republican or whatever it is, tall, short, straight, gay, if they're out to get me, then my fight or flight is going to enact and engage and is going to want to defend and, and potentially where my hurt is to cause harm. When Barb showed me that, I was literally taken aback. I'm like, that person, just because I have a different political belief, thinks I should be dead? Wow, is my head in the sand? Do I need to start sitting there thinking to myself, like, okay, if a Republican disagrees with me, should I shoot them? Is that the thought philosophy that's going on? No, that's a microcosm of what's going on in the world. And if we all focus on that, that's what we're going to see. But for me, and thanks to you and thanks to so many other people, I sit there around, I see everybody, I'm like, I know that we disagree, but I know that if I fall down in the middle of the park right now, you're going to have my back. And to the point, I was talking to somebody the other day, we're talking about family, you know, how many families have been destroyed or severely hurt by what's going on. And I sit there and I think about, like, you know, if I'm thinking I'm a part of a particular group, right? Okay, I'm a vaccinator. You know, my vaccinator people have my back. I know that if I wind up in a hospital, even though my brother-in-law disagrees with me and does not carry the same values, if I need him to watch Jackson, he will be there in a New York second. He will be there in New York second. Even though we disagree on religion, he wouldn't allow me in his house when all these different things that if something happened, I know he would be there. And so we're disregarding family because we have differences of opinions and whatever. But back in the day, we all used to be able to get in a group and talk about those things and argue and shout and come away from the agreement table going, hey, you know what? Hey, thanks a lot. Have a great night. But now we're just like, oh, I'm just all butthurt because you don't agree with me. Well, if we're not agreed with, then maybe it's something we need to look within inside of ourselves to figure out what it is that we may be ignoring. So that's the way I look at it. And I think that we should have more conversations like this. So I'm glad that you brought this up for tonight, that we could have this, and we should have more of these conversations on our show because we have the platform. Like Lonnie was saying before, we have the platform to be able to have some of these uncomfortable conversations. So there's people that we don't agree with. We should have them on the show and say, listen, you know what? We don't agree with your platform and your style and whatever else. Help us understand what it is that you're really trying to communicate. And perhaps we're going to find out that it's a lot of what we believe in as well, but it's just the directive of where they're coming at and coming from that we can potentially maybe have an impact on. What do you think?
No, I agree with you. And the thing is, you know, I'm a skilled wordsmith with people in the right situation. So like if I was with the people who I have something to get across to, I'm going to do it. And so if there's somebody, it's that Jackson around the background, I can see him back there. I saw him back there. He's on the other side. He sees him too. He's like, that's Jackson.
Or I know my dog's going crazy. My dog's going crazy.
But so when we're thinking of how it is that we need to communicate and share and encourage and connect with people, it's a difficult thing to do because I'm just losing my train. I'm literally watching Jackson and I'm like seeing you in your happy moments. I'm straight up. Remember Kim said I'm straight up like the ADD squirrel guy. I see a kid run by or a squirrel. I'm like, squirrel.
Look how big he's getting.
What's up, buddy?
Oh.
Hi, Jackson.
I just slimed him.
You slimed him. You force kisses, daddy kisses. My daughter's like, get the daddy kisses off my face. I'm 14.
Oh, dude. Earlier today, well, just to change the subject just for a second, I had the ultimate oh daddy moment. Barb's like, she goes, oh, do you want to go do something with daddy? He goes, no, thanks.
He could be tired. He could just be a human being. Maybe he was hungry.
Oh, hey! Look at the wife makes an appearance on the Unfiltered.
That was her cameo right there.
Yeah, there she is. No, but see, I'm seriously. Go back to what you were saying.
So, I think we're talking about just connecting to people that are different than us. So, if I were to try to connect to somebody who is very different than me, I'm going to choose the words wisely. I'm going to try to connect with them. But sometimes there's just a general exhaustion to that. And it's not, again, I think I lost track of where I was, but honestly, it's just not an easy thing. I'm trying to visualize the people. So let me go back to the exact mindset because I had a specific point. I mean, the big thing is there's so many people out there. I know what it was. I was saying it's that piece where we started at the same starting point. So we were all pretty much the same. So the arguments that we were having were easy to solve because we're at the same starting point. We hate government. So then we can sit here and go, well, this guy can get rid of the government. This guy. So we can argue about something that's simple. There's 3 or 4 issues about government. That's an easy argument. We can get past that quick. But when it turns into big time integrity issues where somebody's literally just belittling other people and you're going, but that's just totally unacceptable. And one group says it's not a game changer. It's okay. And you're like, what? Don't you go to church? You're the one who's preaching church. You're the one saying that you love Jesus. Like, do you not read the book? It's like, I don't even read that book. I'm like, am I still in the same planet? And so that's where the breakdown occurred, when it got a little more detailed. And I think the powers that be, those people that saw the breakdown of government and the breakdown of the 1% and the breakdown of those who've been leading this world, said, we're going to use psychographics to start infiltrating. So in other words, they can say racism's not real because they're not using demographics anymore. They're using psychographics. So they can find a Candace Owens. They can find somebody who looks the part to say, see, even they agree with us. And so then it starts creating confusion. And then the same group will say things like, you know, we love all you guys. So you're using the love word, saying we're the people of love. And you're like, yeah, we're the people of love. They're hate. And it's like, time out. You're the ones who just said you wanted to kill us. We never said that. How the fuck are you the people of love? Are you serious?
Yeah.
And so this hijacking of terms, this use of psychographics that started with Cambridge Analytica, all of this manipulation got us to a place where everyone thinks they're right. And here's the deal. Go Google the term or the Dunning-Kruger effect. There's a lot of people, Dunning-Kruger. Essentially what it just says is stupid people think they're smart because they don't know any better, but I'm trying to be kind about it.
Is that Darwinism?
Kind of, but a little bit different. Essentially, what happens is the less you know, the more you think you know. So in other words, somebody on Fox News tells you you're really brilliant. You'll say you're brilliant and you'll keep repeating stuff, even though you can't spell it in your own meme, but you'll keep thinking that you're intelligent.
Worthless? Were we talking about worthless before?
And then the other one that blows my mind is the massively intelligent that are in the hypercritical, the hyper-analytical part of the mind, and they never get out of it. They're always in the process saying, what's in it for me? What's in it for me? And I'm like, this is one of the most brilliant people I've ever met. And I'm listening to him talk, and he's easy to follow if you don't get out of your own way. And we know a few of them right now. We're watching a few of them speak, and people are following them left and right because they're semi-eloquent and they sound smart. And honestly, they're very smart in certain stuff. And they're extremely emotionally inept in other spaces. And I'm going to say it just like that because I'm watching them and I'm watching what they're saying, and it makes no sense. And they're missing the point of the terms that they're saying. You can't say that I'm representing love and I'm here for love and I'm here for this when you're sitting here constantly belittling other people. I don't get it. The only reason I'm even mentioning them is because of their constant nature of belittling other people. And they laugh and they throw a laugh at the end, like, haha. Like, so suddenly it's funny. It's like, no, you're an asshole, to be honest with you. And I'm at that point. That's the whole line. Like, where does it end? I'm at the point where, and your other very good point is we have to move to the kids. Well, they're moving to the kids too. So who gets there quicker? Because you're in a group and you're sitting here saying, you know, maybe there's a different leader to follow. I mean, you know exactly where I'm going with this, and I don't want to bring out the specifics, but I've really been thinking about it. I'm like, hold on a second. Who's infiltrating the kids? You've got these groups who are taking over school boards saying, we want to create new curriculum. You want to create curriculum. You've never been on the PTO. You've never been a part of the school. All you've done is bitch, and now you want to start rewriting the curriculum? So what you really mean is you don't want anything about actual history in the schools. I get it. And so we're really starting to see the racism. We're really starting to see the isms. We're really starting to see a lot show up in this country. And I don't know how much you've done research with that, but right now what's happening, there's lots of people trying to say that educators who are lifelong educators don't have the ability to any longer create curriculum for the school. What they're really saying is they don't want to teach about slavery and things like that. So they want to override the school system. Meanwhile, these are the same people who have never been on the Parent Teacher Association, never done a damn thing for the school, but they're suddenly interested when their old comfortable ways of saying what they want, get away with what they want in their comfortable space might disappear. And they don't want that. And I want to be the person who changes that and forces them into the river so they no longer have that total comfort and bullshit that they've been living in. Sorry, that's what I feel like.
Go Scott Goyette. Yes, the Unfiltered experience. I want to go back and catch some of these comments. I'm trying to see them. Where the hell's my fucking glasses at? No, I mean this is what we need to be talking about. We got Princeton Clark in the house. He says learning to communicate is so important.
Super.
What's up, buddy? Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Deborah says here, we don't need everyone's validation. So important.
Hell no.
Princess says here, it's okay to disagree and still love each other. Absolutely.
Amen.
Lonnie says, I wonder what would happen if the human body, if a kidney cell showed up in the eye.
What he's just saying there is that, imagine like right now we're saying that we can't work together. Like, why can't we just accept the fact that as a kidney, I'm a group of cells. I'm still part of the body. I don't need to hate the eye. I don't need to hate the heart. We just need to support one another. And that's where we're missing. We can be tribalized. We can have a group, but we still have to understand we're part of the whole human body as a whole.
Yes. And I would think that, and thinking about the summarization.
Right, Don, Lonnie. I was just making sure. Hopefully I said what you were thinking, Lonnie. I'm just making shit up, but I know you, so I figured I was on the right track.
I was like just watching my camera. I was like, and thinking about the summarization of the conversation, all in all, it really is, and to the point of, the people that are showing up. Like I literally just saw, and I'm being transparent about this. I literally just saw in my utility bill, like there are open positions in the different districts here in Riverside. Well, I'm not Riverside right now. I'm camping. But there's different positions that are open on different boards. And I sat there and looked at them and I was like, and I've been a part of those things before and they're just stupid. They're just fucking crazy. Like I went to one of these city council meetings about homelessness and I'm like, I stood up and I interrupted everybody. I'm like, you guys have no idea. You've never been homeless. I'm like, oh, sir, please sit down, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, you guys don't fucking care about this shit. So when I saw that, I was like, there's no way. But again, you and I, Scott, everybody who's watching this, everybody who's partaking in this, whether they agree with us or not, this is what is inviting us all to become a part of the solution and not part of the problem. I should seriously go consider being a part of the school board here in Riverside, California. I should go on there. I have a strong voice. I have confidence. I should go in there and disrupt what it is that they think is going to be the next agenda item. So, but for me, I'm like, I immediately go to default mode. And we've talked about this default mode. I'm like, I don't want to deal with that. I don't want to go there. It's wasting my time, blah, blah. It's not going to make any change. But if every single person in this world, whether you agree or disagree, if we all got involved, and more importantly, if we all had the open-mindedness to say, listen, I don't have all the answers. Like, seriously. And I think about this, what if I'm wrong in a lot of things that I believe? Maybe I did take I took the vaccine. Maybe it is, I'm going to have medals and whatever it is, I'm going to turn into a zombie. Okay, I'm going to turn into a zombie with my family. It's okay. It's not a big deal. But what if maybe there was something wrong? Then I could have the opportunity to say, you know what? I made a mistake, or I misunderstood, or I based my situation on emotions and not facts. Maybe this is the thing that I needed to go through to crash to realize what it is that I need to change. I'm not the person I am today because I didn't go through a lot of hard shit, and I know the same thing for you. So if we open our mindsets to say, hey, listen, maybe there's something that I need to learn from and grow from this opportunity that's going to make me a better person, then let's go through that. It's just a matter of being aware that we're all on a journey, and what is our truth at this moment may not be our truth 10 days from now, but as long as we at least have the curiosity and the desire to meet somewhere in the middle, and I know the people that are watching the show are those people. It's a question of how do we impact the people that are on the other side. The first thing we could do is to say, hey, listen, knock, knock, knock. I know you are batshit crazy, and I know, but I really want to understand where you're coming from. And each of us can do this. Like you were saying about the people that are upsetting you. I could sit there, we could all sit there and say, you know what? I want to understand you. And I've been thinking about the different situations, the different people. And I know the people that that we're thinking about. We should have them on the show and say, hey, listen, this is a safe space. You're coming from a completely different position than we're coming from. We understand that your heart and everything else is in the right place, because I do believe that everybody's heart is in the right place.
Totally agree.
And so we can invite that conversation to come on here, and perhaps we can be educated to seek first understand. We can set the example for the people that are watch our show to say, you know what, listen, I'm not going to be so obstinate. I'm going to listen. I'm going to open myself up to what other people are saying, and perhaps we can start the conversation there.
Yeah, and let's go even more simplistic, and you're right on. I'm all about that. So let's do that. The only reason that these people are showing up to trigger me, and I'm well aware of the way the universe works, the people who show up or irritate you the most are your lessons, and they're also your impetus to do new things, do bigger things. So they're literally just creating the challenge. What if they weren't pushing me? What if I didn't see a need to put more Go Love Now stuff out there? What if I didn't see a need to go coach more or go train more? Maybe I'd do less. And so maybe what I'm seeing is the universe is saying, we need more of what you're selling. And so we're going to push you and piss you off because we know that's what motivates you. So my interpretation of this whole thing is that if I'm really going to get to the bottom of it, are these people are showing up for me to piss me off? Because quite honestly, that's my motivator. You piss me off, I'm going to come beat you, or I'm going to win, or I'm going to solve the problem. So the universe knows me well. Thank you. You suck. I appreciate you. And that's kind of what's going on. And so all it's going to do is motivate me more. So let's bring the people on the show. Let's do all that. One of those people was actually in Austin, and I thought of calling that person saying, let's go get coffee. And I realized I just wasn't in the mood for it. You got to be in the right place to do it too. So I made a decision to not do it.
I feel you, brother. I feel you. And I'm so glad you brought this up, because it's really, we can set the light and to further what that person had said to me, like, what are you doing, Chris? And part of it, like thinking about it, and even my wife has said this, like, you have a platform, Chris. You never have these conversations. And you and I have done it to a certain extent. We've had, we talked about the murder of George Floyd. We've talked about some very controversial issues. We've had Raquel on the show talking about interrelational relationships and what it is to be a parent and to mentor your kids who are going through this right now in this time of life. But, maybe it's an invitation for us to bring our A game more in the seek first to understand opportunity, and to invite more of these people with differing opinions on our show and have that unfiltered experience, a conversation, and perhaps not walk away from, like, okay, I agree with you, but I think really ultimately, and I believe this in my soul, I really do, that most of us in the entire spinning blue marble that's going through space right now, most of us want the same things. We really, really, really do. It's a question about our perspective of what it is that we need to do to achieve them. And for me, I think really when we can all start to release and let go of our own pain and our own baggage that we're carrying around with ourselves. I've seen this with so many people. They had so much hate for everybody else, but once they were able to release the hate and anger towards their parents or towards whatever else, towards somebody that victimized them as a kid, once they were able to release this, we saw this in our own group coaching program. Mm-hmm. That people were able so much more to have love for everybody else. And I'm a living fucking example of this. And I had gone through the experiences and the change that I had gone through, and I had not met you and not met Sally and so many different people, Patricia, I would probably be way on one side right now telling everybody to fuck off if you did not think my way. So it was because I was open to the journey of rediscovering myself. And again, I was talking about it the other day on the show, the self-help fluffy bullshit. I thought and now I embrace that. I enjoy this because it has made me more connected to me, who I am as a soul, not as a human, to have more love and empathy for everybody else. So those are my thoughts, man.
So I'd love to finish on answering a question and just let this dangle out there, and maybe we could follow up. So Deborah Hansen had an awesome comment. She said, I don't think people's hearts are in the right place when they tell someone they love that they shouldn't be allowed at the hospital if they get COVID-19 and didn't get the vax. So I'm on board with you, and I got in 2 arguments because of this. And
I got to see this one because I think this is something that you and I had a conversation about.
Yeah, well, I want to just say this to you because my outside the box is this. If we're trying to be the light and inspire and be the light for other people and be the change, then when someone makes a mistake and they get sick, we have to be there and support, right? So I hear that, and I do agree with that. But I have 2 friends who are nurses. We have one, her name is Beth, and she's out in Delaware, and one in Boston, Suzanne. And Suzanne is currently in the group coaching right now, and she's a good friend from when I grew up. Suzanne very recently had someone come into the hospital who had COVID, and guess what? She was managing that person and also found out that a visiting nurse lied and said they got vaccinated and got COVID, and Suzanne got COVID. Suzanne was absolutely bullshit because guess what? Suzanne was visiting her parents. Her parents are older and they're people who could get sick. Now they've got the vaccine, but she's putting that in front of them because somebody was careless. So this is where it gets very detailed. Do you always take care of somebody? Absolutely. Like, we've got to take care of people. But when somebody's intentionally saying, I'm not going to do something because of my beliefs, and that can end up killing your parents, this gets really technical real quick. Because my initial reaction is, you're right. Love supersedes all. We've got to take everybody. And then I'm like, well, wait a second. If you don't care enough to do that, these other human beings are the people taking care of you. They're human beings. Why should they be? And then you're going to say, well, wait a second. Why would you be a nurse if you don't? I mean, we can go all day in this. But the
Sure.
point is, someone lied in-house saying they got the vaccine. It was a visiting nurse, got COVID, didn't even tell. Like they supposedly didn't know. She ends up going home to her parents, and she could have given it to her parents. And she was pissed, like really pissed.
She should be up for murder.
That's my point. That's my point. So
yeah, no, that's what I'm saying.
I'm with you.
Is that person up for murder because they knowingly did that?
Yeah, and so that's a whole thing. You know, it's really, really difficult. Vaccine doesn't stop spread, it lessens symptoms. You know, I'm not disagreeing with any of this. What I'm saying is, we can go through the science all day long. The point being is, it's a very frustrating situation for people working in the hospitals, and that's not what I do for a living, and they're tired of dealing with that. And so, you know, again, we could have show upon show upon show, and it's an interesting world we live in right now. We're all on the same page. Let's love each other. Let's stop spreading things that don't make sense and be kind people. Where do we start with that?
Absolutely.
Chris, why don't you go have a drink? Why don't you go play with that little Jackson guy and keep Barb happy and get that Aussie a little walk? I'm going to have another beer and go hang out with the mother-in-law and the wife.
Awesome, brother. Well, another great conversation, guys. Whether you were here live or on the replay, thank you guys so much. Of course, always go to the unfilteredexperience.com. Go to the website, www.theunfilteredexperience.com. Robert, thank you so much for being here. Deborah, thank you so much for being here. Princeton, Clark in the house. Buddy, we got to catch up. We got Lonnie, thank you so much. We're going to all go back and catch up on your comments and personally respond to those. So thank you, Darlene, for being here. You guys are all beautiful people. So let us know. Go to the unfilteredexperience.com, join the Facebook group page. Let us know what conversations you would like to see, what guests you would like to see us have. This is your show. This is a conversation where Scott and I come together and we bring a topic and we bring somebody in here to the conversation. But what is it you want to hear? What is it you want to learn from? This is your opportunity to let us know. So please, 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 we're planning the shows for 2022. We would love to know what it is you want to be educated on. If you want to be a guest on the show, hit us up. Let us know, and we'll have you on here. So we just appreciate you guys being here every Friday night, 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. We love each and every one of you. Whether you agree, disagree, the fact is that you're here, opening your perspective, opening your mindset to having a different way of thinking is massively important. We all need to be the change that we want to see. We all want to be the solution that we need to bitch about. Myself included, Scott included, we have these vulnerable conversations because we too are on this journey to open up and discover who it is that we need to become, different perspectives we need to have to embrace and have empathy for other people, but also at the same time, not be pushovers. We all got to stand our ground. And sometimes maybe we need to stand our ground a little bit firmer, myself included. Maybe I need to come out and say, if you think this, you're a fucking idiot. I don't want to think that because, you know, nobody's necessarily an idiot because it's just all based, again, where we've been in our life, who we've surrounded ourselves with the most. So think about that. Think about the team that you have in your circle of influence, and are they people that challenge you to think differently, or do they want you to think the same as they think? Because the greatest friend that you could possibly have is somebody that says, hey, think about this, or somebody that maybe contradicts you and causes you to think differently, because it may root you deeper in your thought, but at least it causes you to think differently about the other person's perspective. And that's what it really is. It's about the truth, and we all have our different forms of truth, and it's important for us to seek to first understand, then to be understood. We love each and every one of you guys. We're going to go back and check out these comments. My phone's about to die. So
Thank you.
Scott,
love you guys.
Dude, from the bottom of my heart, I love you and I appreciate you. You have taught me so much about love versus fear. You have taught me so much about source and enlightenment and having different perspectives. I just appreciate you being my co-host and my brother in these conversations. So I love you, man. I hope you have a great evening. And I look forward to many more of these unfiltered experiences with you.
You know, one of the beautiful things, Chris, and I'll end with this, is when you preach this stuff, you have no choice but to practice it. And so Everybody call us out on our own shit. We love it. And the reason we're teaching it and preaching it is so that we ourselves can practice it and spread it like wildfire. So hopefully you guys are doing the same. We love you guys more than life itself.
We love you guys. Peace out. Go
Peace.
be